Dropshipping is one of the most popular business models on the internet, from making $1,000 a day to over $100,000 a day. If you have searched up dropshipping, you will find all these young men making big money from dropshipping. But who actually started this whole dropshipping thing, and why is this business called the most profitable business online? Most of us do not realize how dropshipping actually came around. There has to be someone who started this magical internet business. So in this video, we'll dive deep into the history of dropshipping and how it all started. For those of you who don't know, dropshipping is an order fulfillment method where a business does not keep the product it sells in stock. Instead, the seller buys inventory from a third party, usually a wholesaler or a manufacturer like AliExpress, to fulfill orders. The biggest difference between dropshipping and the standard retail model is that the selling merchant does not stock or own inventory. They just act as the middleman. Okay, so now you know what dropshipping is, but you must be curious to know who actually started this dropshipping thing and why did it become so popular. Well, people often assume that dropshipping began in the digital age, but that's not the case. The early beginnings of dropshipping have been around for hundreds of years. The history of dropshipping teaches us a lot, and it gives us very important lessons that are still relevant today. The 60s and 70s. Dropshipping before the internet. For those of you who don't know, dropshipping actually began before the internet. Yes, it wasn't created by a random dude in 2016 who wanted to sell products without holding any inventory. It was first started in the 60s and 70s, where mail order companies were taking advantage of mail order catalogs. Mail order catalogs were small booklets that were received in the mail that advertised a range of items. You could order items directly from your catalog via phone and have the company deliver it to your doorstep. During this time, mail order companies like JCPenney and Sears used this method on a large scale. It turned out to be very profitable for them. These large department stores were left with empty shelves to meet the demand of the orders. But as they grew bigger, a major problem inside of their business started to rise. With the business rapidly growing, JCPenney and Sears were struggling to keep up with the level of consumer demand and knew they needed to find a more fast and efficient way to ship out products to the consumer. They had to find a way to sell their stocks via catalog and provide a full range of products to their in-house customers. Enter fulfillment warehouses. These massive buildings were actually designed to store large quantities of their product for their mail order catalog and speed up the order delivery process. They were designed to make it easy for the staff to pick the right item to send out for each mail order they received. So JCPenney and Sears developed their own fulfillment warehouses that were specifically designed to speed up this process. They were similar to what Amazon now calls FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon warehouses. Their main purpose was to store massive inventory in bulk, and the biggest advantage was that you could easily locate and ship out individual items consumers ordered. In 1979, English inventor Michael Aldrich developed the first system that enabled customers to connect with stores electronically. We can hardly imagine the days when online shopping wasn't a thing, but in those days, connecting a TV to a computer via a telephone line was groundbreaking. This was when innovative companies saw a massive opportunity. Massive fulfillment centers were filled of items that were just waiting to be sold. These innovative companies began to list the exact same items from the major department stores' warehouses in their own mail order catalog at a marked up price. At that time, other exclusive mail order companies like CompuCard realized a massive opportunity in using these warehouses. They thought it would be smart to list the items in the warehouse for sale in their own mail order catalog for a markup price. Then when the consumers ordered an item, CompuCard would purchase the item from the fulfillment center, then have the warehouse deliver the item to the consumer's address. This was exactly how dropshipping model came about. This model was crowned the first form of major scale dropshipping. When the world's first e-commerce company called Boston Computer Exchange was launched in 1982, a platform to allow consumers to buy and sell used computers online. Of course, there was no internet yet, so their operating system was built on a bulletin board system. The 90s saw the birth of the internet, and with that, great opportunities were presented. The first company to transition to online shopping were the mail order companies. Using their strategy of keeping large volumes of stock available at the fulfillment warehouses, it made more sense for them to transition online. Wayfair is a good example. As one of the internet's biggest furniture stores, they are dropshippers who don't manufacture any of the product they sell. Instead, they work with thousands of suppliers, all of whom dropship the product Wayfair sells on their website. However, things did not turn out to be as expected in the beginning. People were skeptical about giving their bank information to a company, even one they trusted. Of course, there was no end-to-end encryption in place, and because checks were used as payment, consumers were not used to sharing account details, especially over the phone, and it took a while for consumers to warm up to online shopping. Back then, it was considered shady to give your credit card details online. People feared that their details would be stolen, and they thought it was stupid to give away important details over the phone, even if it was a well-known store. But over time, as attitudes changed towards the internet, more people started to accept the new virtual method of buying items. With more people entering the online shopping world, the dropshipping.com bubble started to explode, and the bubble began to grow. Thousands of online stores were started making huge promises of returns to their investors based on the e-commerce model. In 1995, Jeff Bezos launched Amazon, which initially operated as an online marketplace. The company was successful from the get-go and quickly began shipping to 45 different countries. The dot-com bubble. The dot-com bubble was a period where online stores with fancy names popped out of nowhere and made huge promises to their investors. These online stores convinced investors that they would make huge returns off this new thing called e-commerce. Investors were sold by the idea and dropped millions of dollars on this promising investment. One of these online stores, Pets.com, was able to raise millions of dollars from these investors. However, things were not the same anymore. In early 2000s, the dot-com bubble was ready to burst. Many stores began to go bankrupt, and in 2001, the dot-com bubble burst, with very few of these stores remaining profitable or producing a return to their investors. But at the end of the dot-com era, they were never profitable, and none of the investors made a good return on their investment. Things started to take a toll when dropshipping from USA had become a lot more expensive over time due to increased shipping cost. And by 2001, a lot of these stores went bankrupt as they were not sustainable, and the dot-com bubble burst. The 2000s, the rise of Amazon and eBay. While several companies were iced in the dot-com bubble, there were two of the lucky survivors, Amazon and eBay. Amazon and eBay had perfected their recipe. They had revolutionized the way people bought and the way people sold. No longer did you need to go through technical, expensive process of creating an online store and advertising it. Now you could list your item on their site and let them drive traffic for you. For dropshipping, this was a huge boom, as previously it was very expensive for the dropshippers. While this was all happening, there was this thing called Facebook. Millions of people were flooding to the site, and now dropshippers saw another massive opportunity. With no Facebook ads until 2007, the only way to advertise was Google ads, which was and is still very expensive. In November 2007, Facebook pages launched, encouraging brands onto Facebook. This made it easier for businesses to create their online presence during that time. When Facebook advertising was launched, it was quite cheaper for dropshippers to advertise their product. But now Amazon and eBay also started advertising their site on behalf of individual sellers, which means that dropshipping was easy for anyone to start, not just large corporations. AliExpress and Chinese manufacturing expansion. Before the launch of AliExpress, entrepreneurs had difficulty finding inexpensive products that could be shipped worldwide. Sellers could easily buy their products online and no longer needed physical stores to ship out the items. In 2004, Shopify launched, making it easy to set up an online store for selling Shopify products. Sellers could create and personalize their stores with complete control. By 2010, Shopify stores owners received backend support to create website, process payment, drive traffic with the help of shoppable social media, and most importantly, run a dropshipping service. So even though the concept of dropshipping has been around for decades, Shopify quickly became a dominant force in the rise of dropshipping. Today, anyone can set up a dropshipping business. This is a considerable change from a time when only the most driven individuals with a solid understanding of e-commerce could be successful. Once upon a time, there were very few suppliers to choose from. Today, there is a dropshipping provider for everyone, no matter their needs. Somewhere there is a supplier out there waiting to fulfill your request, whether it is for print on demand, luxury goods, or low-cost items. With the rise of social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook, creating awareness for your store is easier today than ever at any other time in dropshipping history. Hello there my friend, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe.